Hola.
Hola, hola, servus.
Servus.
Wie geht es dir, mein Freund?
Gut, gut, gut. Und dir?
Ah, good, ah, good. All right, I believe that we are pretty much good to go. I think Clem is here, Reynor is here. Hopefully they've already done their vetoes. Hi, hi. All right, Lambo. Yesterday I casted the grand finals of the weekly all by myself. So I already said everything that I pretty much wanted to say about these two battling. And I was like, all right, if I have to do it all over again 24 hours later, why not listen to a man who knows a whole lot more about the matchup than I do? Did you see those games yesterday?
No, I didn't. But I saw Reynor post something about Widow Mines on Skype, so I figured I might say mines.
Okay, he didn't post anything about the Dreno glance, or?
No, did he forget it?
Yeah, I lost 500 links without a Dreno. Happens to the best of us.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, no, it was
The
a pretty
mine-
fun series. The first two games, Clem was very dominant and looked like Clem has been looking lately. But in game 3 and 4, Reynor really stepped it up, really turned things around. And it started to look for a little while, even in game 5, that Reynor was going to bring it home. Did you then, by any chance, see Dark against Clem earlier today?
I did watch that one, yeah.
What did you make of that?
I mean, that was some wild stuff. Dark just tends to win with the really random link timings, and that's exactly how he won. So sometimes Clem can be vulnerable against this, but to be honest, he has a lot of builds that are completely safe against everything, and I think he just got a little bit unlucky there. So I don't think you can read too much into that.
Yeah, so it's not something that you think Dark can get away with over and over again, but today it was successful.
Really, I doubt it. I doubt it. I think Dark was very happy with that, and I also think that Clem plays a little bit worse still with ping, even though he plays so much right now in the plays like every NA Cup, so he's very comfortable with ping. But still, I think he's playing a lot better without it. So.
Fair enough. All right, I promised the viewers that we would hear a thing or two about Terran maps tonight, Lambo. We're gonna kick things off on Golden Aura. Give it to me.
Yeah, it's the first out of many Terran maps we're gonna see.
Yeah, go ahead.
I am not even sure. Maybe Reynor picked this one, but yeah, I think usually in a best of 3 you don't really get to play any Zerg maps, and in a best of 5, which this is, you also don't get to play any Zerg maps because there's only 2. So we're kind of left with this, which is a map pool with some maps that are really good for Terran, some maps that are okay.
Well, I see our map order. I think you see it as well. Golden Aura is number 1. Heartlet is number 2. I think Heartlet is a Clem pick because he seems to be incredibly good on that one. Solaris map 3. Map 4 is Side Delta. That feels like a Clem pick as well. And then obviously the one that's left is El Sione. Clem says it's 50-50. Reynor does not like hearing that it's 50-50.
El Sione or the map pool?
Yeah, El Sione.
Okay, I was about to say. Yeah, I think. I think Alcyone is kind of okay. It's good for Zerg in early game, and you can get away with getting into the longer stages of the game. But it was similar to Grassvan. You know, you could get into a nice game, feel good about yourself, and then you enter the late game stage where it's super hard to attack. It's not even close to as bad as Grassvan in that, but it's still very, very difficult.
All right, guys. Clem just wrote on Battle.net that he needs 2 minutes before he is good to go. Reynor is ready. We are ready. So whenever Clem is ready, we're going to go ahead and fire this one up. Second time in 24 hours that these guys play against each other. As obviously we are getting close to IEM Katowice. And obviously we're entering the playoffs as well of Masters Coliseum soon. Reynor is already in those playoffs. Clem still needs to get the job done on the 22nd. And earlier today I saw who he is playing against.
Solar, right?
Is it Solar? Yes, TVZ. Solar probably not very happy with that one, but in the past he's done it.
Yeah, he's used to have an insane record against Clem. He's been doing better than even some of the European Zergs, and even on offline, like a home story cup.
Yeah.
I remember at home story cup when Clem lost 3-0 to him, and Clem was not happy about it. I sat next to him and we talked about the games. It just felt like he should have won every game, but if you end up losing 3-0 and you feel like you win, you're supposed to win every game, you know, it hurts your mental a little bit. And you start connecting these games with the player that you're facing against. But he did beat him in Atlanta, though.
Yeah.
Very close there as well.
Yeah, that was incredibly close. I mean, Solar got 2 maps. That is more than anybody else got of Clem in that tournament. So, anyway, guys, we are ready for the main event of the Big Brain Bouts number 47. The last best of 5 that you guys will see on this channel today. We did 6 best of 3s in the beginning of the day. We just had 3 best of 5s, a couple of pretty fun games. And it is time for the last one. Let's do it. I am joined by Lambo, which obviously means less talking to chat, more talking to Lambo. I hope you guys will enjoy this one. Let's get it on. Top left side of Golden Aura. We are looking at the main base of the man who was on a rampage in those WTL Code S playoffs. He has heard us as Basilisk. I know he heard you guys as well as the Shopify Rebellion. This is Team Liquid's Clem. To you, the honest.
And his opponent representing Team Basilisk is the red Zerg player. Hailing from Italy, it's Reynor.
Following up the little bro. Did you see those games?
I did watch, yeah. I was actually watching on the site while I was playing Overwatch with the Louvre. And I thought BASILISK already was winning the third game, and I saw it was over. And then we stopped playing. I told her I need to go real quick. So I was even surprised that the Night Phase took one. I think BASILISK played very well. I thought that was a very even match going into it.
Yeah, I think historically, if you would have made this match 6 months ago, Night Phoenix would have been a pretty sizable favorite. I think even over BASILISK. But it really goes to show that the young Italian is improving at a rapid pace. I'm pretty proud of him. But that was the PVT. We are now watching the big bro, as he's going to battle it out with Clem once more. These two have played a lot of games against each other in the last few weeks. They run into each other on the ladder. They've been running into each other on tournaments. Obviously, at first, it was pretty favored for Clem, and of course the WTL Code S playoffs too. But feels that Reynor is really starting to hit his stride, right? And you can really see that Katowice is coming up, because I do feel that Reynor is starting to look better with every week we get closer to that big tournament in Poland.
Yeah, 100%. His practice is starting to pay off big time. And he needs to get the hours in to get back to his mechanical prowess. He can have the sickest creep spread in the world whenever he's completely feeling it, and that alone helps so much in ZVT, and he can just have more time to do all of the run-bys because everything becomes a little bit more automatic. It's not just straight speed. It's the more used you get to things, the faster you also become. So just playing a lot, I think, helps him. Even all that Archon practice helps him as well, I think, in gaining that speed.
He's going to need that speed against Clem, who has obviously looked on point. You know what's funny? Early this morning, or even in the afternoon, I had people was like, "Hey, Roddy, what's up with Clem?" Because Clem has now lost 2 series in the Masters Coliseum. Yeah. People just get used so quickly to the idea of Clem wins every match ever, right? It's like, nah, he's still a human, guys. He's going to lose series, and he lost to Maru and Dark, not exactly 2 pushovers, so obviously Clem is still amazing. I do have one last question before you can start talking about the builds here on Golden Aura, even though it all looks relatively standard and normal to me. You did not play at all in the WTL Code S playoffs. What was the reason for that, Lambo?
Well, I think against any other player than Clem, I would have I would have played 100%. But Clem, I have a very bad record against. And Harrison said he had something for him and he was feeling it. And then I even give Scarlet the heads up because my confidence against Clem is extremely low. It's lower than against anyone else. If Harrison didn't say he had something, I would have played the ace match for sure. But I didn't play that much. I had the break basically. I just came back from a break as well because I had to get the house ready, for all the guys that stayed over at New Year's. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really play Starcraft during that time. And just confidence. I trust my teammates more than I would have trusted myself.
Clem is going to lose his Reaper here as it gets cornered, so Reynor has not lost a single Zergling. Obviously did not lose a drone. The first 2 Heli is going to show up though, but quick Evo blocks on the side of Reynor. Reynor had a joke once upon a time at Home Story Cup that he has the quickest Evo chambers in the West. Well, those Evo chambers went down very quick, so far I'd say so good for Reynor. Could you explain to everybody that's listening right now, or maybe we'll watch these games back on YouTube, what is the main difference for you when you play against Clem and when you play against a Gabe who's on fire, or a Spirit who's obviously a very good Terran in the European scene as well? What makes Clem Clem?
What makes Clem Clem is that he can just micro his units better on average. So the longer the game goes, I need to be completely on point the entire time. The moment you slip up once, he can create an advantage and then keep that going, keep that momentum going. You won't have enough units anymore on one side, then you take a bad trade there, take a bad trade on the other side. It all starts snowballing, and he's just so much better at forcing these scenarios. Against anyone else, if I have 6 banelings, I feel safe, but against Clem, I'm like, okay, I need 2 more because he might just focus fire the first 6. And yeah, he's just overall faster and more consistent with the multitasking than any other player in the world.
So just better across the board and incredibly unforgiving to make a mistake against, because he will run away with it.
Yeah, and also just playing super solid macro and playstyle. Like he keeps expanding always in a very rapid rate, so that it's not really like, okay, if he doesn't pay attention once, it doesn't really matter that much. It's always, it ends up being a battle of attrition, a battle of trades. It's very difficult to just take a good fight, defensive fight against someone that's very committed. He's never really seems very committed with his build or his timings.
Reynor has lair tech done. Bailing speed gets fired up immediately. The first 2 Evo chambers, the real ones obviously, other than the blocking ones, have been planted down as well. We have a tiny Ling run by. What really turned things around in the grand finals of the weekly yesterday in Game 3 and Game 4 is that Reynor started to go for Ling run bys again. But at this point, Reynor obviously needs some units at home, as Clem is already here and he's going to dive on the first few queens of Reynor. Reynor didn't really see all these units show up. The Banelings get cancelled as well. There are 3 Banelings ready, but those are slow Banelings. Clem is of course going to gun them down. And I guess this is everything that you were talking about. There are some Lings in the main on the other side of the map. It's 5 SCVs dying, but can Reynor clean this up successfully?
Yeah, I think this is already not successful anymore, but he will clean it up eventually. Lost a lot of queens in the process and hasn't traded too well, but he defends it overall. I think the 5 SCVs dying on the other map to the 5 Lings really saves him here. Because it's also some mining time lost the SCVs had to fight. And we have to remember that this was a fast armory build, which means that this was more committed than a usual build. The extra barracks are a little bit later due to the extra Hellions that he made, and the first upgrades of Clem are very late as well. So that means that the game is still somewhat even, but good trade overall for Clem.
Yep, obviously it's going to be hard for Reynor to replace 5 queens. He does still have 7, and there are 4 on the production tab. So he's absolutely trying. He's going to fire up a very quick burrow here. I wonder if that's even a misclick, because Reynor is not normally somebody who gets burrowed this quickly. But, well, we are going to see how committed Clem is going to be here as Clem makes his way up this ramp. Even the Overlord gets transfused. Reynor knows that every single unit matters here. There are some speed bays in the mix right now. Maybe Reynor can sneak in a couple of Lings from behind and they can trigger those Widow Mines. You got to be careful, Reynor. There are Widow Mines in the mix. First mine shot is pretty decent. The second one has to settle for a single Bane. Good defense here by Reynor. That could have gone a lot worse.
Yeah, very good defense by Reynor. And at this point, this map becomes a lot more difficult for Terran to push into. It's actually one of the maps where you always have creep in front of your bases, which means that at the very least, Reynor should not die here. So it will always be about those trades, about the little pickoffs, about how good the mine hits will be for the rest of this.
Reynor should have a tiny bit of vision of this double drop, has a spore crawl on the edge of the main base as well. Puts Lings in the right position. Obviously had Overlords giving him the heads up there as well. The Clem is actually committing. Only 67 drones at the moment, but it's obviously important for Reynor that things don't snowball after he lost all those queens. So he needs these units to survive. He has Lings and Banes over here. Whoa! I actually kind of felt that one Baneling could have connected there, but it's almost like Reynor sent them back, and then Clem was like, oh my goodness, there's still a Baneling. In the end, all the do get picked off. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was Reynor just respecting Clem's micro, and Clem actually just misclicked the Baneling. So he started himself forward into the Baneling, just misclicking it. And Reynor thought it was already over that Widow Mine, doing a lot of friendly fire there.
Yep. Reynor has been doing this non-stop in the last few games that I've seen him play against Clem. It's either Overseers or just even regular Overlords once he gets Overlord speed. As we can see, that is 70% done. Loves trying at least to drag those Widow Mine shots, either absorb them with units that won't hurt your Lings and Banes, or just obviously make the Widow Mines turn against the Terran army. That is not a fight that Zerglings alone can take. Clem is here and he is not going to let go of the aggression as this hatchery is starting to take a lot of damage. One queen cannot save it. There is the Widow Mine here, gets a good shot. And it's already starting to look pretty dire here for Reynor, who does have high tech on the way. One less Baneling, but a single Baneling never connects against Claymore. Clem looking very good here, 9 minutes into the first game of the main event.
Yeah, just not having any Banelings with that particular part of his army really forced the hatchery to die, basically. Clem knew he could step forward with the mines in the back to retreat to as well, and he just keeps trading very efficiently. Now already up more than 2k in resources lost. Good mine hit there as well. And at this point it's gonna get very difficult for Reynor to even ever retake this, because Clem, while attacking there, is also clearing up all the creep.
Yep, there are units coming in from different angles. The Widow Mines are going to go very far forward. This shows the confidence that Clem has here in this move out. More Banelings getting picked off. Reynor is sitting on 1100 minerals, but he can't really spend his money. Oh my goodness, Widow Mines firing from across the screen. It is getting ridiculous. Clem has lost 70 units and killed 215. A unit's lost resource difference of 4,000 already, and Clem is just not letting go. Clem is angry, man. He is making a statement. Whatever happened yesterday in game 3 and 4, whatever happened against Dark, he is not going to let that happen again in this best of 5. Clem on fire. And Reynor may as well tap out, and is most likely going to tap out.
Yeah, not much he can do here anymore. At this point, Clem just having fun rallying his units across. Whenever he sees new units, it's naturally just release them somewhere on the other side of the map. And then attacks with them. He's completely in his element, and there's nothing Reynor can do at this point.
Well, that is a very convincing win for Clem on the Reynor's map choice as well. Clem picks up all of these units. He's going to unload a single Marauder, trying to absorb a couple of these veins. That won't quite work, but you look at the minimap and you see all this blue that's still active in the center. This is all Clem here in game 1. Reynor knows it. Does not want to give up early. He's hoping maybe for a magical comeback. He does have Burrow, but the only problem is he has no Banelings. He's gonna morph 11 of them now. This army is an army that's going to end the game here. Clem has 2-2. Reynor has 1-2 upgrades. Yeah, that is a incredibly strong game won by Clem. There's nothing else we can really say about it.
Yeah. GG is called. And 1-0 for Clem, now also confirmed on the scoreboard.
So how did that go that crazy? Is it just that the first Marines, and obviously the Hellbats, because we had a quick armory and the Hellions could morph into Hellbats, they caught Reynor a little bit off guard. Reynor had Lings, Reynor had Queens, but not quite the army initially to battle it. Is it just that that's where the snowball already started rolling down the hill and Reynor could just never stop it? Is that what happened?
I think he was slightly behind after that. If he had more Banelings for sure, he would have been ahead, because he actually had the Banelings in time. He had Banelings in time. He just didn't expect the push to be that strong. So it could have went the other way. I think he was still fine. I think really where we saw the breaking point, the snowball to honestly, the snowball just fell straight off the cliff, was when he ran towards his fort base and didn't have a single Baneling in his army. When you said the Zerglings alone can't fight this, Zerglings really couldn't fight this, and then Fort Edge dies, you can't spend your money anymore. All of a sudden you don't have enough units on the other side, and yeah.
And they have 2 Widow Mines connecting with 20 units each, and it's just all over.
Yeah.
Because we did have 1 or 2 absolutely ridiculous Widow Mine shots there. That is a great start for Clem into this best of 5, as game 2 is hard-let. And whenever I see either a Clem or an Oliveira, or even Gabriel if he's feeling it, play on this map, it seems incredibly difficult for Zerg to break Terran once they get a proper setup. We did see Cure lose earlier today against Cero, but I guess those were just Cero things, right, Lambo?
Yeah, it's very funny because Cero and Reynor both think that this map is fine for them, or they feel like it's a nice map, somewhat, like compared to the other one, so they don't veto it. But then whenever I see them play on it, they actually lose. So this is actually the first time I saw Cero win on it. Usually even in the series that he wins, whenever he loses a map, it's on hard lead, so it's definitely a good Terran map. I don't think, even for aggressive Terran playstyles, it's good. It's a short map, bases are very hard to get creep in front of, and I think overall this just screams Terran map to me.
Alright, the game 2, Hardlat. In the top left side, we are looking at the main base of the man who had an annoying and frustrating afternoon as he lost to Dark in the Masters Coliseum. But he's off to an absolutely fantastic start here in the main event of the Big Brain Bouts number 47. Representing Team Liquid, it is Clem.
And his opponent in the bottom right hand side, going for 15 hatch for the second game in a row. It's the Italian Stallion, it's Reynor.
It's funny because a little while ago I did have a discussion with Reynor about like ZVT and what is good and what is bad, and after I watched a couple of his games I was like, man, you're not showing us any of those run-bys anymore. And he's like, run-bys against Clem, not sure if that's really the way, the kid is always ready. But yesterday in the grand finals in game 3 and 4, what really made all the difference is that we had run-bys, and we're not talking about 40 links, you know, randomly running into the net here, but it's just 10 links here, 14 links there, and he completely disrupted the flow of Clem. And I feel like in a lot of the games where Clem looks invincible in this matchup, it's because Clem is the first one to move out, he attacks, he applies pressure, and then for the next 12 minutes, every single battle happens on the Zerg side of the map. And it feels that if those are the games, it almost feels like you can't beat Clem, right? But yesterday we saw Reynor get some of those old school run-bys in, and I really feel like that is something that I've been missing a little bit from not just Reynor, but from a lot of Zergs, where no matter how hard it is, it feels like you have to try, because that is the power of Zerg to some degree.
Yeah, I think splitting the attention is very important in general in Starcraft, and having something that is easier to where you don't have to pay as much attention as the defender, which is usually basically every harass tool there is nice whenever you can afford it. But yeah, Cyril actually at Atlanta told me, or has been telling me for a while, that run-bys is usually what kills the Zerg, because whenever you do a run-by and they just have a normal production cycle that is there and then they're in position and you don't have enough units anymore on one of the other places that you're fighting, this is the type of thing that can really start a snowball as well. So we obviously see very often the run-bys having success, and we don't really see directly the run-bys if you have units on the map that are not at home, or if we have units on the map that are in position. Oh, Cyclone opener here. That can even hurt the Zerg sometimes as well.
Not one, but two factories. Yeah, it does make sense what you're saying, and if you go back over those games of yesterday night, the windows are so razor thin that, like, if a Ling run-by shows up right now, it's perfect, but if it shows up 5 seconds later, it would not do anything. And it's like almost impossible, obviously, to practice those things, but it is nice if the Zergs try and they get rewarded for it. Clem is going to try to surprise Reynor here a little bit with not one but two factories. A factory in the back of the main. Reynor drops a Roach Swarm. Hey, that should be very good news for him.
That is very good news for him, yeah. As long as he makes the roaches, he should be fine in this case. This is a committed Cyclone pressure build as well. Clem used to play this into bio as well, but he really needs to get stuff done. Like, he needs to kill the queens usually, get a lot of creep spread out of the way, sometimes even kill drones, but more often than not, he basically just tries to kill creep, queens, and Zerglings.
It will all come down to when Reynor is going to be able to pick this up and put 2 and 2 together. So far, all that Reynor has seen is a Reaper, 2 Hellions. He does have one spotting Overlord on the edge of the natural, but he doesn't really see everything with it. We are going to build... Yeah, go ahead.
He even sees that the depot is so late that it looks like a 3cc build, because Clem actually hit a depot in his main base. That makes it look like it's a 3cc build. So it's a cool little detail from Clem.
Don't tell me this is
makes
stuck.
his scouting.
If this is stuck, that would be kind of annoying.
It's stuck.
Oh my goodness, Clem.
Is it?
I think it is, man. I don't really see it getting out here.
It is rallied there on purpose, so I don't know. Maybe it can go between the minarets and the guys. I'm not sure how fat Cyclones are. I feel like it should fit through.
As a man who knows a lot about things that are fat, pretty fat, man.
Okay.
I don't think they fit. I wonder where the other one...
Hey, you ready it there specifically, so we'll see.
Nah, okay. Not that fat. Clem knows what he's doing, guys. Clem knows what he is doing. Alright. The Cyclones will go out. Clem just wanted to make sure that it would not get randomly revealed. Looked like they could potentially have been stuck. They are not. Reynor sees so far, I feel like not a whole lot. Has 9 more drones on the way. 7 roaches, 8 queens. Oh, a couple of roaches are off creep by themselves. And Cyclones kill everything so quick that is off creep and is by themselves. That is a rough start for Reynor to start this. As we right now have 8 queens. We're going to try to get an Evo chamber block, but I feel like he blocked his own Evo chamber there. So that doesn't really work out yet either. It's scary for Reynor, but maybe still okay because the queens are good in buying time.
Yeah, it should be fine. I mean, the roaches also buy a lot of time. He's not getting a lot of shots, and I wish he would kite a little more. So these Cyclones right now are trading perfectly. The scan is missing all the active tumors, which is huge. These Cyclones will have a much harder time kiting away on creep, and they will consistently be on creep now. But they're killing so much stuff. I feel like Reynor is running out of units here.
Yeah, Reynor actually chased very far there with the queens, and in the end, every single queen gets picked off. We have a Spine, and the Spine might be able to get a couple of hits off. Finally, there's a Ravager. Ravagers have slightly more range, but the Ravagers get targeted immediately. The first Ravager dies. There are a couple of Lings showing up, but these are slow Zerglings, so that obviously won't do a whole lot for you either. Just like on Golden Aura, Reynor ends up losing so many queens against the first attack that Clem throws his way. Make it 7. And Clem is now just having a good time killing Overlords as well. Obviously, the one maybe silver lining is that the 3rd command center was a little bit late with all of this, but there is no way in hell that Reynor is happy with the first 7 minutes here of Heartland.
Yeah, I really doubt it. I think one thing that's good for him though is that Clem overmade Cyclones. I think the last 4 Cyclones that he made, like if these are Marines and tanks already, it's looking a lot worse because these Cyclones, they won't scale. He's not making any more upgrades for them. Roach speed will be done by the time that they try to hit. So I think Clem would just throw them at Reynor, hoping to deal damage with the first wave. Maybe actually split up his Marines with the first 2 medevacs and then Cyclones on the other side, and then he needs to extract value of them right now. Because otherwise, I think Reynor would actually be dead.
Yeah, but you can also still maybe use 2 of them in a random medevac and send that somewhere because they're so incredibly effective against workers. Like, if you have too many in your main army, like if you lose them, no biggie, because as you said, the era of the Cyclone in this game is kind of over. But if they can just go to town on drones for even a couple of seconds, it hurts so much for the Zerg.
Yeah, I think he's gonna split them up though entirely. So like 2 medevacs to one side and the Cyclones to the other. Which is also decent play. I mean, you still need a lot of supply to deal with 8 Cyclones, even though they're not that strong anymore.
Reynor is in trouble, man. Like, I don't even Reynor's entire army is going to struggle with half of these armies of Clem. So how we're going to split up our forces is kind of beyond me. But Reynor is going to try, and the Roaches and the Queens here will at least push these Marines away before Combat Shield is going to kick in, before the 1-1 upgrades are ready. Those Cyclones are taking out the Spine Crawler. They at least bought a tiny bit of time. You mentioned those active creep tumors before that survive because of the scan. And you can really see that this has a bit of an impact now, because Reynor has been able to spread a lot of creep on the right side of the map. But Clem wouldn't be Clem if these Marines find a tiny bit of a gap, and 3-4 Roaches by themselves, not enough. So the Lynx need to show up. The Queens are here as well. I mean, Reynor is doing everything he possibly can to make sure that that damage does not spiral out of control. And I gotta say, I don't hate how the last 45 seconds went, especially not if he gets to surround here. As Zergling speed has kicked in, Reynor gets most of them. Reynor gets, I guess, all of them besides 1. Ah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, very good for Reynor. He's also playing Roach Lingbane this time instead of just Lingbane against the Widow Mine-based composition, so he can actually dislodge the mine positions much easier this game around, and he's up in supply this time, which is also different from last game, even though there are some Roaches in the supply. It's not looking too bad, and Clem is committing now towards the other side with this entirety of his army, even with a tank.
What is looking bad though is that Baneling speed is not done yet, and the Marine count is solidly pretty damn high. And a lot of these Ravagers are not quite ready yet, so yes, Reynor has a lot of supply, and he's setting up a surround, and he's splitting up the Zerglings. There's another Widow Mine protecting the tank. And sure, the tank falls, but also 30 or so Zerglings go down, as they were all clumped up around that tank. And without Baneling speed, it is so hard. There are more Widow Mines ready to fire. Clem is just going to hold his ground here and fight, and says it's only a couple of Marines left, but I'll gladly take the fight against the Roaches and the Ravagers. In the end, he is forced to pick up. I mean, Reynor survives, but loses again a lot of expensive units, loses 10 drones. And the biggest problem as well is that he didn't even clean up all of these Widow Mines because there was no Overseer with those Zerglings.
Yeah, that fight was not pretty. I mean, he's very Ravager heavy now, which is maybe not the absolute worst thing because it will make him survive. Gets actually decent bile hits there. Gets 1 mine for free as well. Usually even supply with Roach Ravager against Biomine does not look good, but the medevacs are actually starting to be out of energy. So if there's one more stim, these Banings will be in one-shotting all of the Marines, which happened now. So any of these Banings touching the Marines right now, the Marines will disappear. And I don't think Clem can kill him at the very least at this point.
No,
but
they
he's
are
getting
low
a 5th base on position.
2 out of 3 mines are still able to fire though. Nice split by Reynor, but obviously great target fire on the side of Clem as well, as these Banelings in the end do not connect. But Reynor is going to push Clem back. Now that's, if you're Clem, not the end of the world when you're becoming a 5-base Terran. If you're dropping your 5th base on location as a Terran, that obviously screams confidence. But at least Reynor lives to fight another day. Adrenal glands may kick in. We've got Vipers on the production tab with +2 melee. Lynx, Banes, Adrenal glands, couple Vipers. There is a chance to make sure that this game goes on for a whole lot longer.
Seven's even putting a 6th base on location, and he's not making a single planetary. He's on 4 gas, massing Marine Marauder, and he's massing Orbitals. I wouldn't even be surprised to see him go above 8 barracks in this game. This is one of those times where if Reynor knew what we knew, he would just send a couple Zerglings there 100%, because all of those bases, even though they're sensor towers, they're not defended at all. There's just no planetaries there, there's no units there. Link is getting decent trades and Reynor on the counterattack.
Yep, a couple of Banelings actually on top of SCVs, a lot of them very low on HP. A single Bane is all that's really needed. Good to see Reynor striking back. It's also the first time in the entire best of 5 that Reynor is like on the other side of the map, actually with an army getting in range of SCVs. Has killed not a single medevac yet, but he has done so much damage. The Vipers are out, by the way, with those 4 Vipers. If we spam parabombs, a lot of these medevacs, since they have taken some corrosive bow hits, can be in a lot of trouble very quickly. I don't know about softening up the center hatch, by the way. I would prefer to see literally any other building being used for this, but okay.
It's okay, we're lazy.
That's why you guys needed that Viper buff, eh?
The big Viper buff, yeah. Tipping my hedges left and right.
Yeah, you guys are powerful. I'm not sure how you guys got away with the Viper buff, but oh, Reynor needs to be careful, by the way. We cannot donate any Vipers, but Reynor is paying attention. Drops double parasitic bomb. Clem has an excellent reaction against it. We've got a potential Widowmine drop in the bottom side of the map, but Reynor, can he shut it down? One queen, yes, should be fine. Ah, they'll get it. Hey, that's kind of big.
That is very big, yeah. This is the only second prong that Clem had. He's using his army entirely together. So this is a lot of breathing space here for Reynor. And Clem is not like he's transitioning into Liberator Ghost yet. He's actually adding 3 extra barracks, which I think is really cool because of how early he got the extra orbitals up. But now his most exposed bases are planetary, so it's going to become harder for Reynor to find that damage. I think beforehand would have been easier to find.
And it's starting to turn into one of these games that we absolutely love between these two. Clem sees a Viper, and you cannot give an opportunity like that to Clem because he's going to gun it down. And Clem is like, can I do that again? Can I get both of them? In the end, it might be hard for some of these medevacs to get out as we have another big fight happening in the center left side. Widow mines are being spread. Bailings are wondering if it's their time to shine just yet. We're going to try to run those Widow mine shots on top of the Terran army. Feels that Clem has done pretty good, but Reynor has done a good job in making sure he doesn't lose all the Bailings at once. And we still have 20 Bailings remaining. Clem is going to be forced to pack these units up and leave. These medevacs are also very low on HP. Seems like Reynor is doing pretty good over here.
Reynor was probably making a face when he saw that CC also being built on location. The 7th base of Clem trying to be built on location as well, and at this point Clem doesn't have that many units out. That fight for him just there was terrible. Good blinding cloud, he's gonna get a lot of SCVs as well. And this is the first time where Reynor actually is taking a significant supply lead.
How does Clem lose 13 SCVs and still have 80?
That's because he's making 6 at a time.
He's still rebuilding them as well, which is kind of wild. Reynor has a spotting circling in the top right side that gets picked off by the planetary. He is going to get some of these buffed ultras though. And a little bit of a discount. Get the 11th, one for free, right? If you build 10, something like that. What is it, the 12th?
Yeah, it's something like that. We don't get gas, so we never really get a free one, but yeah.
One Widow Mine connects with a couple of the units. Reynor is trying to make chaos happen in that third base. That is obviously an orbital, and hoping that he can make something magical happen in the center as well. But with the sensor towers, with the planetaries, that is always going to be difficult.
Yeah, the left run by actually traded really cost ineffectively, and just like that, Reynor's bank is depleted, and now both players are maxed again. Clem is super rich. He's basically playing like a Zerg. He's trying to out-expand Reynor and just play with cheap units so far. Now that he realized, okay, I took a bad fight, maybe we should make the Ghost after all. Since I've heard it's a decent unit.
And not if you ask No Mercy, by the way. I don't know if you saw him earlier today. He doesn't believe in the Ghost, man.
Really? But did it work for him, though?
Yeah, kinda. He beat Statfest. I mean, it was one hell of a series, but he did. One of the hatcheries does get picked off here. Reynor will at least drop a couple of parabombs, abducts a medevac as well that was carrying a lot of units. Somehow that medevac kind of makes it out of harm's way, as Clem also had a drop in the bottom left side and is building 4 command centers at once. Reynor's getting the Ultralisk speed upgrade, and we do have Burrow at this point. The only downside is that he only has 1 Bailing.
Dude, I just wish Reynor checked for a single time that base in the top. Slightly to the right, like at the 1 o'clock location, because it's an orbital. He could have sent 10 Zerglings there the entire time. It's so annoying for Terran to deal with. He might actually see it now for the first time that there's no planetary there. He barely didn't get far enough.
22 SCVs going down though, as Reynor obviously attacks in the top right and the triangle. That part is good. The fact that Reynor loses a lot of these very expensive ultras to the Ghosts that are now out and has also lost 1 hatchery is less good. Let's take a look at the saturation of Reynor. We have perfect, almost perfect. Yeah, Reynor just basically needs to get his hands on 1 more base, right? Like ideally maybe the one above his main, but that's so hard to defend after Clem took out all the creep there.
Yeah, if you look at the resource lost, usually in a normal game this is really good for Zerg. Reynor basically is trading evenly throughout the game, but Clem has just been outmining him. So Reynor needs to take even better trades. He's trying to get out in fasters now because he's starting to have a gas bank. Good abduct there on the Ghost that was about to snipe. Good blinding cloud as well. Reynor is trying to work miracles here, but Clem simply is working with more stuff than he is working with, so, which makes it very hard.
Not too many resources left in this base, but at least it is something. Yes, we're gonna try to get some more energy on these Vipers. Reynor obviously could really benefit from just trying to gather a tiny bit of a bank. It's so hard because Clem is always there and always in your face. We have Sharking Infestors, a sick fungal, or maybe a combo of fungals and Blinding Clouds can make miracles happen too. And as a Zerg, you never really want to be not even maxed out and forcing to fight a Terran. As Clem is basically trying to get his hands on every single base on his side of the map. On trip, I always believe in the Lynx veins and the Ultras, but off trip it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, Reynor's actually doing a decent job. Most Zergs here, after a game like this, would have no creep on the map whatsoever. Reynor is still well above the center of the map, as he's now trying to make something happen on the left-hand side. At the same time, he's trying to engage at the right side as well. Clem's medevacs actually left the units there to die. So good trade there for a huge funnel.
That is an absolutely amazing fungal, and all of a sudden Clem's supply dips by like 40, and Reynor is on top of multiple bases after taking out a lot of Marines and Marauders in the Zelnaga Watchtower. Clem is not lifting an orbital, as that orbital will die. This base on the left side is in trouble. Those fungals and those surrounds were picture perfect, and Reynor may not have that much money in the bank, but he did land some sick fights. It's always a bit scary to see Ultras go off ramps with Widowmines and Liberators, but so far, so good. And this base that you mentioned many times, Lambo, Clem is kiting all the way back to it, and Reynor is just like, wait, what? That's not even an orbital, or that's not even a planetary, as a parabomb does go off. Unfortunately, it was one of the medevacs on the outside. The final few Zerglings, though, look at them go. All the buy units died. The low HP Ultra survives, the low Zerglings survive. It's starting to look like Reynor is close to getting it done, but Clem does still have a decent army, but most of that supply feels like it's in medevacs.
It absolutely is, and he's running out of minerals at this point. I mean, the base at the top right is still relatively fresh, and the orbital also still has some minerals to mine from, but that was a huge win for Reynor, who's up in resources lost against a Terran. 19 minutes in, which is... I never say this. Like, whenever Cyril is somewhat even, I'm like, okay, this is crazy. No other Zerg can do this.
Oh,
and now Reynor is showing me he's up. Ooh. Has to watch out there. Sharking Infestors are really good. I'm happy he made them. I think he actually makes them too late. Usually.
Yeah, can only echo that sentiment. You don't often watch a 20-minute Clem TVZ where Clem has actually lost more resources than the Zerg. I didn't even think that was really possible. Something, Widowmine and Ghost. Now, we haven't seen a crazy amount of Ghost. 6 of them have been made, 6 of them have been killed. Reynor did land one abduct earlier on the right side, but still very impressive, obviously, to see these numbers. That Infestor has been revealed. Clem sees it. Reynor knows that Clem knows. So now he's moving that Infestor away, and at the same time, we got a couple of Ultras getting on top of that Planetary in the top right, and then it's good enough to kill that Planetary.
Clem actually forgot concussive shells, which is pretty big. It might not seem like the biggest upgrade, but what it does if you play very Marauder heavy with Widowmines, what happens very often is the Zerglings that run forward trying to bait the Widowmine get slowed, and then they end up in the rest of your pack, basically, like the Zerglings that you try to drag the mines with. So forgetting concussive is pretty big in a game like this. As Clem is now trying to make something a good fungal once again. All the medevacs as well as some units that cannot be picked up. Oh, even get some medevacs with the Zerglings. Lost a bunch of Zerglings for that, but he's now significantly up in supply, and this is not even Clem's entire army here, whereas it is Reynor's entire army, which means he takes out the Planetary, and Clem is trying to retreat, trying to kill Reynor's base now at the same time. But I think this is a trade that favors Reynor, as long as he saves the drones in the bottom left, going towards the even further bottom left.
There are so many Widowmines though, and only 2 Overseers. That is a little bit scary, right? Especially when the fights and the games get this chaotic, because Reynor is just kind of eating Widowmine shots to the face everywhere. We had 18 or so, now we're down to 11, as Clem is going to try to make magic happen on the right side, and these are the scary late game Terran armies when we're looking at Ghosts, when we're looking at Liberators. Good job there. Look at that one brave Ultra. Nobody can ever say that that Ultra ain't a team player. Absorbed 3 Widowmine shots to the face, kept the Zergling safe. Clem does take out another base of Reynor, and it's time that Reynor takes care of this army in the bottom left side. With the abducts and the parabombs, he should be able to.
Yeah, 100%. Both players trying their best to just stabilize in this game, trying to get up mining. And both of them are struggling to do so at this point. Reynor now even starts Corruptors. He feels like he's rich enough to get some Corruptors against these Liberators. Yeah. Which I think I tend to agree. If he tries to take a fight now, all of those Ghosts snipe some of the Corruptors. Clem trying to get rid of the anti-air so he can just lift the rest of his units.
One more goes does die, and the Liberators are left behind, so the Queens and Corruptors can take care of a couple of them. Earlier today on this map, we did see Cyril find a lot of success with the Corruptor. Look at that Roach one, by the way, down to 8 HP. Not the biggest of deals. 2 Widow Mines left behind. I'm sure that Clem is going to take a little look at them soon. It is an amazing game, man. Heartland just tends to create absolutely fantastic games as we have more links running onto the triangle base of Clem. Good circling splits, as pretty much always here by Reynor. Clem does have a few more battle units out on the map. But obviously Reynor is starting to work with a very sweet comp, and the ghost count is only 2.
Ghost count only 2, Liberator count only 3. This is a good pick-off though. Reynor out of position for this one. Gets the headstream. Can maybe focus fire in an ultra before picking up? Nope. Just decides to pick up because the Corruptors get too close for comfort. All of these medevacs are super low, by the way. One parasitic bomb there, and Reynor thinks the same. Sees that, starts up 2 Vipers.
I don't know if you saw it, but right before Clem killed that hatchery, there were 2 Vipers AFK there, full on energy, and Clem sniped them. So for the first time in the game, Reynor did not pay attention to his Vipers there. It was a painful loss, because those Vipers could have made a very big difference.
Yeah. I mean, Reynor agrees as he instantly remakes them. Good fungal here once again, gets a bunch of the ultras. 5 almost empty medevacs. At this point, there's not even that much anti-air. It's just few marines, so the Corruptors are doing wonders here. Gets one of the infestors, so this is so scary to engage into so many Widow Mines.
Great little ultra run by in the center. That's very chaotic, very difficult for Clem to deal with. Not just can't just send over a couple of Marines and Marauders there. You're gonna need a little bit more. It is difficult to engage into, but Reynor still tries, and it's pretty perfect. Circling splits once more. Clem is waiting for those big Widow Mine connections, but they're not really coming, and lifting an orbital is not necessarily going to save it, because Reynor did make those Corruptors, mostly to deal with the Liberators, but obviously for scenarios like this as well. In the end, Clem does feel that this bio army is powerful and big enough to go forward. There are 5 ultras on the map. 3 of them are going to walk into the natural like they belong there.
Yeah, but this seems like a good fight. Once again, the Widow Mines are trying to be dragged with the overseas. At this point, you can't lift up anymore because the Corruptors deal with all the medevacs, and Clem's final units are falling. And I think Reynor has done it.
That is an amazing game by Reynor there. After 25 minutes, he will win on Clem's map choice after Reynor lost on his own map choice. Hard lad. Clem obviously building a lot of orbitals, staying on the basic units for a very long time, but it gave us an ultra action-packed game here on Heartlet. That was fun. I love that final drag of the Corruptors as well. First the Corruptors are battling the medevacs, and then he moves them forward a little bit, and you see the Widow Mines splash over the medevacs and buy units again. Very cool stuff.
Yeah, great game. It was honestly a very decently sized comeback. Like if I was before the fungal that kind of changed the game, plus the fight at the right side of the map, I would have given Reynor maybe 10%. He was actually, I think he was so dead. That was actually a crazy comeback. He traded so efficiently. It's actually nuts to me that this happened.
I would agree, mate. I think it was nuts, and it looked like Reynor was in trouble, but it is amazing to see our boy showing up. This also means, by the way, Lambo, and I know you're very involved in this storyline, that we did not have a single 3-0 tonight in the Big Brain Bouts.
Yeah. Which means you're fantastic at planning matches as always.
You know, the old man still got it, mate.
100%.
Game 3 is going to be played on Solaris. Reynor is ready. Clem is ready. We are 20 minutes past 10. Normally this event ends at around 10 p.m. Central European time. Not today. That's mostly because of No Mercy and Steadfast, who just could not get enough of each other. That was a very long series, but the main event absolutely living up to the hype as well. For the second time in 24 hours, these two play against each other. The winner gets $150. The loser gets $50. This is round 3. Top right side, we're looking at the main base of the man who just saw his little brother win in the previous match. And he's going to try to bring home the main event. Representing Basilisk, the Italian stallion, Reynor.
And his opponent, considered by many to be the best Terran in the world right now. It is the current Atlanta DreamHack champion. It is Liquid Clem.
Liquid Clem. So somebody is asking in the chat, and I think this is the one thing I would like to address, like, hey, are they going to play in some big tournaments soon? Wouldn't it make sense to hide strats? The day and age where Starcraft 2 was all about, like, oh, I have a build, and the other guy does not know about it, and it's going to go amazing. I wouldn't say they're completely gone, but it's mostly gone. Starcraft 2 is a game of incredibly high execution, speed, scouting, accuracy, and reacting to what you see in a certain game. I obviously asked Clem if he was down to play, and he did not have to play at all. It was Reynor who dropped the gauntlet, and he said, hey, let me play the kid on Friday. And I said, sure, I can ask him. And I said, Clem, if you don't want to play at all with the eye on Masters Colosseum or IM Katowice, that's completely okay. And Clem was like, oh, no, of course I would love to play the kid. It sounds awesome. He's like, I don't have anything to hide in TVZ. Everybody knows what I'm good at, and that's all there is to it. Clem can tell you exactly what he's going to do, but beating him is still super hard for every Zerg out there.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you before the game very frequently what build order he's going to do, but it doesn't really help me very often. So, yeah, he's just crazy good in the matchup, and it's, yeah, TVZ is a very mechanical matchup. You can make it one if you really want to. You can play very tricky, play a different build every game, play some very prepared strats specifically for your opponent as Terran. As Zerg, if you play against someone like Clem, there's not really much you can do because his build is literally safe against anything. Like if he just plays 3cc Banshee, there's not much you can do. It's safe against Nidus, it's safe against Roach Valence, it's just, he just overall plays safe build orders where it's very difficult to punish him, even if you know it's coming.
Whenever I think of triple CC Heli and Banshee mate, I think of the 27,000 times that I saw Hero Marine play Bly in online tournaments. And I'm like, oh my god. Gabe is doing it again, and I know why he's doing it, because it just makes sense. And poor Bly, always capable of a fun upset in ZVZ, and always cool all-ins in ZVP. That could work against pretty much anyone, right? Even a Neep or a Showtime from time to time. But then you make him play against Gabe, and Bly always looked kind of hopeless, because that's just not how TVZ works, or ZVT in that regard.
Yeah, there's a couple of bits like that. There was also the best of 69 that he played, or was it 69 against Marine Lord, or maybe it was 31 or something.
Yeah.
Where Marine Lord played 2-1-1 every single game in a row, and it's just you can't cheese that. Like you have to play a macro game. Like there's just nothing you can do. And I'm sure Bly tried to think of many things, and Bly is very creative. He's a smart guy. If he can't figure it out, then I'm not sure there is something.
I also think back of somebody who asked Elazer for a good Nidus all-in against Terran, and Miko's response was, if there was a good all-in, I'd be doing it, mate. It doesn't exist. It's very hard in this matchup historically, guys, whether it's the Zerg or the Terran side of things. Obviously, Terran can go for like proxy 2 racks, 3 racks, and now maybe you have like a weird Cyclone all-in, but especially from the Zerg side of things, you just kind of need to play very well. And same goes the other way around. It is a matchup that's incredibly mechanically demanding. So it's not so much about hiding a strategy. Of course, you can switch it up when you go into Masters Colosseum playoffs or IM Katowice offline. And nobody wants to be predictable. But what you're going to show, it's not like somebody has never seen that before. Because obviously the game has been out for 14 years. So nobody shows up with a chess opening right now and the first move is like, oh my god, no one has ever put his pawn there, right? Like, we have seen that stuff. But that doesn't mean that you know what the right response is. Yeah.
You can also use information you put out there against your opponents if they prepare with it. Let's say Clem always opens Banshee on this map. And then people try to play greedy Muda or something. And then in the tournament itself, he can do something else. So it doesn't even necessarily always work against you if you show your standard playstyle as. Clem is obviously doing exactly what we're talking about. He's just playing standard 3cc, Hellion Banshee. His bread and butter, I would say.
Yeah, I like what you said there. I think that's something that's very cool for people to think of as well. You can actually showcase a certain build quite a few times in a row in online tournaments, even if there's money on the line, because you may believe in the Clem needs to micro his Banshee though. And obviously he does, kills a queen, so that's not a bad start. But if your opponent has lazy preparation, where they just look at 3 or 4 VODs and they're like, oh, Hellion Banshee, Hellion Banshee, Hellion Banshee, that's absolutely what's going to be. Then at the big moment, you can switch it up and you can go for maybe triple CC, a bunch of Rexes, quicker stim, whatever. So whatever you show in these games, even if you want to win, that doesn't mean that you have to do the same thing the next time around. So you can, but nobody is 100% certain if you're going to do that or not. Only teammates will know these things.
Yeah. Pretty much, and Reynor is doing basically the hardest counter there is, which still is just a soft counter, which is very fast Muta. The reason this is good is basically you have overseers and time for the Banshees to deal with them, and then you can sometimes surprise the Terran with Mutas already being out as their Medivacs spawn. As the Banshee build has relatively late Medivacs and has relatively late combat shields. So you can get ahead if the bench player doesn't scout the Spire, especially. If the bench player scouts the Spire, it's just a normal game with Muta. If they don't, though, it can work sometimes.
Double Evo Chamber goes down as well on the side of Reynor. Clem obviously is just focusing on his own setup. Has repaired that Banshee that took a lot of damage. Yeah. A Queen, 4 Links, an Overlord. Basically, we are waiting for the big upgrades in this game to kick in. And with big upgrades, we look at Baneling speed that gets fired up, but mostly on the Terran side of things. Stim is done, 1-1 upgrades on the way. It is important for Clem that he does not forget Combat Shield. I wouldn't say that's something he does often, as he does fire it up right now, but there have been a couple of games lately, right, where Clem's Combat Shield is a little bit later than it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it happens. Usually the main thing he forgets is 2-2 and then 3-3. But Combat Shields also does happen from time to time. As he is moving out now, which theoretically is what you want to have happen as the Muta player, because you can actually catch the Medivacs if you have enough Mutas out, which he definitely does. He has 7 Mutas out. Clem needs to go to the main base now. But the boost is
obviously going to send those units over real quick. One of the Medivacs is in trouble. That Medivac dies with 8 Marines inside of it. The Hellions run into the Queen's head first, and that's not going to work either. Picture perfect defense here by Reynor. Gets both Medivacs, gets all of the Marines, does not take any damage from the Hellions. This has to get starting to be a little bit frustrating now for Clem, where he's like, oh, come on. Actually, very few things, because we've been waiting for this moment. And now Lambo, the man lost 50 Marines, 2 Medivacs for 1 Muta.
Yep. Killed 0 drones so far, right? Yeah. It's basically a perfect opening for Reynor. It's exactly what you want to go up against. Is a Terran moving out with the 2 Medivacs so far that they can't retreat anymore. And that's just what happened. I think it's partly because Clem just used up the HP of his initial Banshee too fast. And he never got to see that the extra gases were taken early. He never got to in between the bases, so he had no chance of even seeing the Spire. He had no chance of seeing that the Baneling speed was early. He basically just had no vision because he tried to kill that Queen earlier, so that backfired pretty hard, I would say. And at this point, he needs to play passive for quite a while. Yeah. Because if he moves out, he's just gonna get owned.
I think he knows that as well. That's why he threw up 5 turrets, and he's even building a 6th turret. We have created a bit of a sim city. There is a Widowmine there. Reynor spots the Widowmine with the Basilisk and the Spire. Wow, these Queens, by the way, are very far forward. But hey, I guess Reynor is very confident. Lings are going to try to get the wraparound, as the Mutas could have potentially gotten on top of the Medivacs again. Clem was quick to respawn, and we do have Big Daddy Thor in the back. This is obviously where Reynor too needs to be careful, as Burrow is 10 seconds away from finishing up. 9-minute Burrow. You know, Lambo, I don't know how you see it, but he's becoming a bit of a fan, isn't he?
See, I don't know. He always just says that, yeah, he doesn't want to do it in front of you usually, so maybe it's just a mistake.
No, yeah, I know. I know in the past he has not done it on purpose, even though he knows there was some value in it, because he can't stand me talking about it. But lately, I'm starting to see it more and more. And I'm personally a big fan. Elaser is still the king in the European scene when it comes to the Burrowed Banelings. That's why he got rewarded with 10k as well. Pretty good Burrowed Banelings, eh?
Pretty good Burrowed Banelings. $1 for every Burrowed Baneling he ever made in his career.
Man, if I would get $1 for every Phoenix I ever made, Lambo, I'd be cooking late.
Yeah, big time.
Hive on the way for Reynor in this 10-minute game as the 2-2 upgrades are on the way. Reynor is... Look at the creep, by the way. I mean, it's insane. It's such a nightmare scenario for Clem. Everywhere he looks, there's creep.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is an insane position for Reynor, but Clem has shown that he's more comfortable in playing these types of games lately. Like, I think back in the day, he would have just tried to attack and make something happen anyways, but at this point, he's just camping. And he seems more comfortable doing it. And the question is now, how does Reynor trade his army out? Can he make stuff happen? Can he, you know, force part of Reynor's army back at home? Reynor already in position for those Mutas. He sees them in the sensor tower, so he moves forward. He knows, okay, this is not Reynor's entire army. Reynor now realizing there's still stuff at home. He wants to take the straight-up engagement, but Clem playing it very cautiously, staying mostly off creep with big parts of his army.
I love the Widowmines got picked off there though by the Basilisk play with the overseer giving the heads up, and that was actually very cool. Reynor with a couple of Burrowed Banelings, but it was right on the edge of creep. Clem throws down a scan and it is close enough to spot those Burrowed Banes. Hive tech is done. Adrenal Glands gets fired up. Ultralisk Cavern gets planted down. Reynor is going to try to maybe go for it again. Loving the Muta play, loving the Muta movement. 19 Mutalisk in total. And obviously there is no overseer here. There is a Widow Mine. That's a good shot. There are 2 more Widow Mines. Oh! Well, we had 19 mutas. We somehow still have 18. I guess a couple of them just pop, but a lot of them very low on HP.
Yeah, Clem should save this store, and he does just that. This Widow Mine is inactive already. Good trades for Clem in the last couple of minutes. He's fully on creep now, so Reynor is trying to send it, but it's somewhat of a surround here from the Terran himself. I'm surprised Clem hasn't lifted SEC yet, trying to take the rich gas base.
Cool job there by Reynor as he realized that a couple of low HP Marines are chasing him, and he's like, well, then I'll turn around. I wasn't planning to do barrels. Banelings will find a pretty good connection there with a decent amount of Marines. Unfortunately for Reynor, this is not game as 8, and we do not have out any bonuses, but still a nice attempt. These Widow Mines get picked off. One of them fires at the Overseer, and the Marine, by the way, gets a single shot off. So that Overseer actually dies. That is a big deal, because now Reynor needs to be cautious with these mutas, and he needs new Overseers.
Yes, Reynor's transition is coming as well. He's starting through 3, not too far behind Clem, which is usually the weakness of the Mutalisk, that you're very far behind in upgrades. But with how comfortable Reynor's early game was, he manages to fire up the Hive in time, the 3-3 in time, and the Ultra transition is also on the way. This base is mostly undefended. Oh, those Banelings were not efficient.
No, there was a lot of Banelings rolling into Thors, and the Thors survived. The Mutas, however, are starting to find some openings as they have taken care of a missile turret, SCVs, now are even going for an orbital. There are so many mines, though. Reynor needs to be incredibly cautious with how he wants to evacuate here. So far, he's getting away with it, but now the mines are kind of hidden underneath that orbital. Reynor knows what he's doing. He is being a believer of the Muta. The Mutalisk is back. A lot of Starcraft fans have missed the Mutalisk, right, in this matchup, where this is like, man, I miss the days we see Mutalisk. I'm sick and tired of Lurkers and Broodlords and Ultras. I want to see some Mutas. Well, Reynor really is bringing sexy back in that regard.
Yeah, 100%. I also love the Muta games. It's just a different dynamic that they bring. It's an extra avenue of attack that the Zerg usually doesn't have, because we don't have the greatest drops. So just being able to bypass all the restrictions that the map usually brings can be very nice, and it forces the Terran to always keep units at home, and whenever they don't, that's where the Mutas shine the most, which this base is once again very undefended. There's Widow Mines at the top of the base, but at the bottom is just a couple turrets, which is not enough against this number of Mutas. Gotta watch out that they don't chase into the Widow Mines.
Yeah. There's always multiple fights happening at once. Reynor comes in from different angles with a couple of Banelings. I want to say pretty good job by Clem keeping a lot of these bio units alive. Reynor wants to go for that planetary. Reynor does get the planetary, and that is obviously big. That is also what he needed, because he used a lot of units there. But Reynor is damn rich, man. 6,000 minerals, 2,000 gases. He did borrow a couple of Banelings there, but Clem was very quick to throw down his scan. It's honestly almost disrespectful to take the base at 6 o'clock at this point, though.
It is, but it's a legit good move. I mean, he's trying to transfer drones there right now. This should theoretically be a Clem base, but with the way Clem has been playing, I think eventually, if this was to go very late, he would lose his third base, and then this actually becomes a Reynor base. So I like it a lot, as Clem is actually pushing very far on creep here with his army. With the Mutas on the other side of the map, there's nothing really to punish him from it, but it's still scary.
Yep, it is always scary when Clem is pushing, especially when Clem has 117 supply. Reynor is just looking for a couple of great Baneling connections. He's going to burrow Banelings again in the midst of this chase. The Mutalisk are doing that thing. Let's take a little look. Oh no!
He lost all the, yeah.
Let's not take a little look at those Mutas, because there are no Mutas to look at. Well, that backfired. Good news is that Reynor is mega rich, and he has 24 Mutalisk on the way.
Yeah, he just lost like 20 plus Mutas there to like 5 different Widow Mines. So that just instantly turned the game on its head. His gas bank is completely depleted, and he has to wait for all the extra Mutas to come now. But he should be able to clear up all of these units at the top here. With the Mutas being back already, nah, he can't chase them. The Meta-X will survive, which is actually huge for Clem. I mean, big win there for Clem. That was so many Mutas dying for completely free. And Clem feeling the momentum swing, just rallying across units. He's getting a little bit ahead of himself, I think, because those units do not have Meta-X with him.
Maybe he also, obviously he doesn't know, right, how rich Reynor is. I'm sure he assumes that Reynor is kind of rich, but maybe at this point he's like, you killed a lot, but I killed a lot, you used a lot of veins. But Reynor had money for days. One of these Meta-X carrying 8 Marines is very low in HP, and a single bouncing glaive could actually kill it. Clem is going to try to unload near a Widow Mine, but Reynor's Meta count is so incredibly high. +2 flyer attacks is amazing, +3 is on the way. So Clem is like, alright, maybe you don't have a lot of units at the bottom side of the map then, but that is not the case either, as the Widowmine connects with some banelings, but Reynor just has units everywhere. Turns out that 80 plus drones, sometimes even 90, a rich Vespian geyser, pretty good for the Zerg.
Pretty good for the Zerg, getting momentum back on his side. I think, yeah, Clem overstepping a little bit there. These minutes are completely without overseer, which
yeah, 20
after what I just saw, makes me very afraid. As he flies over those Marines, decent trades. I'm a little bit sad that he didn't get any of the armor upgrades, because I think the way he's using the mutas, I think he should go attack armor, etc. Armor is actually very good against Marines. The same as it is for Zerg, and this also applies to mutas.
A lot of the creep has disappeared between the last few minutes of battling, and Reynor has also lost 8,000 resources more, which once more goes to show how unique that previous game was. Of course, that tends to happen a little bit more often when we play Muta Link Bane, but 8k is still a pretty serious amount, especially if you take into consideration how good this game looked for Reynor for a while. Clem threw down a scan earlier, he saw those Banes. I don't know if he actually knows that they're there, as he is rebuilding. Reynor goes for a fight. That's actually very important. There are 21 Widow Mines on the map. Lambo, I have no idea where they are, but I know some of them are here.
Yeah, at least 8 of them I can see, and this is fully off creep. I don't think Reynor wants to get sucked into this. This is the first time that Reynor has his entire army together, which makes the game so much easier for Clem, because he can just rally all of his units there. He doesn't need to split his army, he doesn't need to split his attention. So that means he's just microing perfectly here, since it is Clem. If you don't give him anything else to do, he's not really going to make too many slip-ups in the micro department. So I would love to see Reynor split up his units again. I think the mutas are flanked towards the top side of the map, which I think is the right call.
Yeah. Still mines everywhere there, so Reynor needs to be very careful and definitely bring an overseer. Somehow managed to burrow a few more banelings right in the face of Clem, but Clem has a lot of high HP units at the moment. Like Marauders, they don't care as much as Marines do, and Ghosts and Thors, they really don't care unless the burrowed baneling count is somehow crazy high. It's unlikely that's going to happen. Reynor is now going to set chase to this army, but this is where all those Widow Mines were waiting. And Reynor is going to have to disengage. We have the 25 Mutalisks trying to get on top of this base. A couple of Marauders somehow chilling here. I'm not sure what that's all about. Maybe helping against banelings or something?
Yeah, I think they were just rallied towards the top side. And then caught off guard by the mutas coming there. As we have 5 turrets defending this here, the mutas with +3 attack one-shot them with the amount of mutas that he has. So turrets alone are not the best defense anymore. He really needs to split his Widow Mines very well in order to deal with those mutas. And yeah, Clem he needs to get one more base up if he wants to win this game, because Reynor has a very big bank.
Reynor is setting up a lot of traps. Clem is obviously very well aware of it, as he throws in a scan immediately. Another hatchery has been taken out. Reynor should be able to win at least against the initial fight, but the reinforcements have arrived for Clem. That's a lot of Marauders. It's a nice mix by Clem, man. It's a little bit of everything, but it's the right amount of units that he needs, as the Widow Mine connects with all the mutas too. Reynor now down to 19 mutas, makes 14 more. The man has lost 56 Mutalisks in this game.
Yeah, it's the main point of resources lost for him, to be honest. He's losing so much gas with all of these mutas. He always remakes them. He's not playing too careful with them, if I'm being entirely honest. And if he will end up losing this game, it's probably partly because of that. Even though the mutas are getting a lot of stuff done, he's losing a lot of them, and he always has to rebuild them, which means a lot less banelings to try and run the planetaries. Less stuff he has as runways in general, and to deal with the army, as Clem once again cancels the top side base and just a setup at the bottom pre-split.
Yeah, the muta count is crazy high, but can Mutalisk alone be good enough to bring this game home for Reynor? Reynor does have a lot of minerals in the bank, and the Zerglings do have crazy good upgrades, so that's obviously something he can still get a lot of value of. He's now going to battle all these stirrers here, as Clem is going to try to stim as many units forward as possible. A couple of them are Marauders once more. There are Widow Mines here. The Widow Mines will fire. Uh-oh, that is once more pretty damn painful. We had 33 Mutalisks. We are down to 19. You just said you think he's been a little bit reckless with him. That was pretty reckless too.
That was the word I was looking for. And once again, he's not quite paying attention. Loses another muta at the tail end of this, and he's completely out of gas. The rich gas has depleted. He's, I think, mining 4 gases at this very moment. So his gas income is not there anymore to replace them if he keeps losing them at the pace he's been doing it so far. As now he tries to bust the planetary, but this is no planetary yet, so Clem just lifts the base and kites back. Still a good engagement though.
And again,
Reynor.
always trying to set up a couple of traps. Both of these guys have just been excellent, man, in trying to outmaneuver one another by burrowing mines in clever positions, burrowing banelings every single time there is a moment. Is this a moment you want to use them? Not too many high-speed units. That's the moment right there as all of the Marines show up. Perfect patience there by Reynor, but can the Mutas, the Lings and the Ultras get on top of this Terran army? It is honestly hard to see how much Terran firepower there is underneath all these medevacs. We have medevacs for days. Is there enough firepower in the Marauders and the Ghosts? It seems that the answer is yes for now, especially when they're tucked away into a little corner like that.
Yeah, this was not the fight. I think Reynor had a hard time, just like us really, seeing what exactly was left for Clem, because there's so many medevacs above everything. But it was enough units to fight back, and at this point, Reynor is out of gas, man. He doesn't have any banelings to speak of. And his meter count is not that scary anymore. So it's gonna be difficult, more and more difficult for him to find good engagements. He really needs good surrounds now with the Ling heavy army that he's working with at this point.
Yeah, and obviously if you're gonna build that many links, it is hard to find great trades, and then you can actually burn through that 3k bank very quickly as well. As Reynor is gonna try to make a little fight happen here. The Lings obviously do have all the upgrades they are supposed to have. Not that bad by Reynor. I gotta say, these Lings did good, but how long can we chase? I think this is already maybe a little bit too long, as we now do end up losing these two Ultras. What Reynor is doing with all of this is maybe buying some time for that base to come online in the top side of the map. He's going to force Clem to scan again. It's Lings, one Ultra, and a whole bunch of Mutas. Reynor's doing pretty damn good, man, with just Zerglings.
He's doing pretty damn good indeed. He cannot let this base go up, and Reynor knows it. He wants to bust this so badly, but the planetary has finished. I'm very surprised Clem didn't kite towards the planetary against the Ling-only army. His units are so low HP, he is forced to pick up, which is a huge win for Reynor in and of itself, because the planetary is left by itself to die. And I mean, that was a huge win for Reynor, just getting the planetary. I think in the fight before, he really should have kited towards the planetary, because it was just Lings and it was a very close fight as well.
I feel like Clem, or that drone by the way, has been battling with the boys for quite some time. It's like when the little brother is allowed to hang with the big bro. DreamHack Masters Valencia, you know, the boy's taking out Baby Marine over here. And obviously Clem throws down his scan and he sees that the hatchery has been taken on the top side of the map. So Clem loses his base at 6 o'clock, sees that Reynor gets his hands at 12 o'clock. No! Oh, the drone that has been battling for a while does get taken out. That Widowmine shot is big. Clem still has 11 mines. One of the goals gets surrounded. That ghost will die. Obviously, we spoke about Reynor's bank and Reynor's gas income. It's not too different for Clem, as Clem still needs to make sure he keeps on scanning. Will throw down a scan. Those banelings do not connect.
Oh, the Woodman actually gets one of the medevacs. Good split once again from Reynor. It's so many units and there's not many banelings left. Whatsoever, huge Widowmine hit there for Clem. I can only see a single baneling left here and it's burrowing. I don't know what that's gonna do. But the tail end of these fights are so bad. Once the Terran army is just at a place where they can just stand their ground and fight, where the Zerglings don't get full surface area anymore, it starts to become a very favorable engagement for the Terran. I think Clem is stimming a little bit too much though. The medics are running out of energy.
It's so important because we don't have a lot of Ultras. So why are we not taking out these rocks? It feels like that would favor Reynor so much.
Dude,
yeah.
I've been telling him this every single time when I coach him on every single map, that he should just attack the goddamn rocks, and he just never does it. I actually have been telling him like 20 times before Game Crusade, and he plays in it and he forgets again. I'm fucking grass, man. It's he never killed the rocks. Even on Hardlet, the huge game that we had, the long game,
yeah,
he never killed the rocks next to his fort as well there. I don't know why he does it. I have no idea. It triggers me. It's actually insane.
It's making a statement against Dustin Brother, perhaps. But yeah, it feels that a lot of these engagements, especially if we are running low on gas and we are this Ling heavy, life would be a little bit easier if we can just take out the rocks. Because now again, we are all the way forced to come from the top right side, or we have to go the long way around. And by the time we do that, Clem is obviously going to be ready for it. It's a game that looked like it was going to go Reynor's way, but after 26 minutes, I am starting to believe that Clem has this almost in the back, as we have Widowmines and banelings living in harmony underneath the surface of Solaris, but it doesn't really change anything, as with Widowmine shots that big, what can Reynor possibly do with the army that he's currently working with?
There's not much he can do. He can just hope for mistakes from Clem. Clem's entire army is super overstimmed, so if the banelings get the detonations, they will kill all of the Marines. This seems like the best fight that Reynor could have ever hoped for. Decent baneling connections there on the borrowed banelings, but as long as Clem can kite, the army of Reynor will just never trade cost effective. And that's exactly what Reynor needs at this point, because Clem is not quite mined out yet, and Reynor is not really mining that much himself anymore, even though he is out mining Clem by a little bit. There is still a fresh base, which 100% will be Clem's at the end as well. I'm not sure we're ever going to get there.
As we're still battling over this base at 12 o'clock, Reynor is now going to queue up an Infestor, hoping that a single fungal can perhaps make the difference, as we are again battling with Widow Mines against Mutas, Ultras. Even the Queens are going to show up. Transfuse is very important. Hey, maybe we can become the Ghosty user Ultra, you know, from the early days of MLG. But the Widow Mines have something to say about that. They don't give a damn about our lore. More burrowed banelings, but I think this time around Clem did see it immediately. And he gets a great scan. Reynor is on 64 supply. Clem is on 74. Clem has lost a lot of his tech units though. And when it's just Marines and Marauders, I do always believe one Sharking Infested Lambo from downtown, perhaps.
Oh my god, he needs to make sure to not go in scan range. He's now coming from the bottom, and I don't think Clem's screen is there. He now reveals the Infestor. I think that was his biggest chance. As all of Clem's units are solo, the Medivacs consistently out of energy. The energy upgrade this game would have been insane. But he never even got to a fleet beacon in it. One of the Mutas goes down. I think the moment you see the Mutas here, you should engage.
There's suddenly
But
so many.
He's going back.
I didn't know that he still had 17, but the 17 Mutas will get on top of the orbital, and Clem does not want to go down that ramp, so Reynor gets the orbital, saves his own base for a little while longer, and one Infestor becomes 3 Infestors. The Mutas are still fighting really good fights. Is Reynor actually turning this around right now after 28 minutes, as he was able to keep his base alive? He's finding good trades, and obviously everything that we said about the economy of Reynor, it kind of goes for Clem as well. Clem has barely any income left.
He does, but the moment Clem secures this bottom base, the game will turn. As in that Reynor will be the one that needs to attack Clem, because there's more resources left there. So if Reynor does nothing, then he's just going to lose the game. It's just one Ultra here and 2 Infestors with Fange. Super difficult position for Reynor to find a fight, and then this hatchery is 1 HP. He's just going to go for it. This is the last mining of Reynor, which means he needs to commit at the bottom side of the map. There's still a couple of mines left over here and a couple of Marines. I think Reynor needs to go for the engagement here. I don't think he can wait any longer.
Yeah, it's kind of now or never. Maybe he's waiting for an Infestor. There is one Infestor left. I don't know where it is. We're going to try to make the Widow Mines friendly fire, and they actually do a decent amount of friendly fire. There are 29 Marines remaining as Reynor has burrowed another baneling. It's just one. Clem has learned from it as he throws down the scan immediately. And he's going to be able to chase down this queen. And you said it was inevitable that Clem is going to get his hands on this bottom base. It is kind of working. What an insanely cool game. 30 minutes of non-stop action between Reynor and Clem here on Solaris. That Widow Mine shot. And Widow Mine had so much potential in the top as all the drones were clumped up. It's still a decent shot as 5 of them go down. We're battling in the bottom side of the map. 15 Mutas, 46 Zerglings, 1 Infestor. How does Reynor get the fight that he's dreaming of? Especially with those rocks still on.
I honestly don't know, but he has to try rather sooner than later, because there's mules, and which means that Reynor is completely on a timer. The 1 Infestor now unburrows. He can try, he gets a decent Fange at the bottom, but the Widow Mines clear up all the Zerglings at the top, and I don't think there's enough Zerg remaining here, as the last couple of banelings are trying to run in from top. Burrowed baneling actually gets a decent shot. Clem's forced to lift up, but new Marines come, and all of these Widow Mines survived, so I don't think that was good enough.
85 supply against 68 supply when the clock strikes 30 minutes. But obviously Clem gets his hands on this super important base. Reynor tries to kill the Widow Mine, but he does not get it at first. So it fires, it kills a Muta, it kills the Overseer. Reynor has no more Overseers, so he can't see the mines anymore.
He has no more Overseers, he has no more income, and I don't think he has the units left to win this game. He has 4 Zerglings on the map against 25 Marines and 8 Widow Mines, 8 Mutas. He's trying his very, very hardest to make something happen with them. But I don't see it. I really don't see it at this point.
You think like 2 Ultras or so, but how on earth are you all of a sudden going to sneak out 2 Ultras? Is that Widow Mine connects with a Muta as well? Reynor has the drones. Does he? Maybe... Yeah, if you can get your money on it, maybe rebuild that hatch, but it takes so long before it comes online. The Widow Mine is still here, just getting shots away, and every second that goes by now, obviously, Clem still has 4 orbitals, so you can spam mules for days. Clem's army is going to grow very quick. Reynor's army is not growing at all.
Oh, good Fange here. I mean, that's the best thing you can hope for, but yeah, it's just Terran is muling the base. Zerg doesn't really have income anymore. Another Muta dies for a couple of SCVs. As you said, there was no Overseer, so you can't even kill the Widow Mines that are killing his Mutas one by one. Looking worse and worse. I actually have to go for like 2 minutes.
No worries. The games have been very long. Lambo's gonna take a tiny break, guys, and I think we can all agree that the writing is on the wall for this one. Reynor is trying to still make some magic happen, but it seems that it's gonna go Clem's way unless we can successfully get this base up and running and we can really get somewhere again. And instead of one ultra, we can look at multiple ultras, but 2 links, 6 mutas, 1 ultra, 1 infest is not gonna be it. Another Widow Mine connects. Does seem like one of the medevacs got picked off there. Yes, Clem now knows that this base is about to come online, but this is what I mentioned earlier. By the time that it's finally ready to get some value from it again, that's when the Marines are going to show up. Fungal from the left side does not really connects a tiny bit. Fungal from the right also gets a couple of units, as both of them are still trying to get max value out of every single thing that is left. But Clem at this point, look at that army supply, guys. He's got a crazy amount of units. And I think he's just going to corner Reynor. We have 14 mines, 4 medevacs, 9 marauders, 33 marines. 1 ultra is not going to cut it. Even 2 ultras are not going to cut it. We do have a little bit of queen support, as we have a fungal landing on a couple of these units. Reynor does kind of have the base up and running. I need to take the tiniest of tiny breaks, because if I don't do that, you guys would have been very upset with me. As you guys, after 33 minutes, do not want to miss the GG screen.
I'm back.
We're still going, mate.
Dude, I mean, you can say what you want about Reynor, but he's a fighter.
With 46 army supply, though, it does feel like we are fighting a losing game. Obviously, he knows, but he is trying. Maybe hoping that, like, that one final fungal. And he does actually find the money now to have 2 more ultras. We have gone from 1 ultra now all the way up to 5. Widow Mine drops could be painful, as they go for an infestor. The infestor burrows. The second Widow Mine goes for drones. He is a fighter, but what are we fighting over here? What kind of an animal are we fighting?
I don't know what it is, and I don't think he has a chance, but he is fighting it, that's for sure. So yeah, I mean, I honestly, I don't exactly know what he's hoping for. I think he knew exactly what position he was in, and then he went for the all-in at the bottom with the Ling Bane Muta and didn't work out. And I think with the position that he was in, he just feels like, okay, there's no reason to give it up now. Let's try to play it out all the way. But it's just a numbers game. It's just a numbers game. He's traded worse, and they split the map. So
I would have never thought that we were still going to see a great Aspire attempt in this game, Lambo. Like, it kind of feels like we've been counting down the GG moment. Reynor is like, nope, if you give me that base, does any of the Widow Mines fire? No, it doesn't. I mean, Clem has 126 army supply at the moment. I don't really know what he's doing with it. It's kind of chilling. We have 1 more Sharking Infestor on the high ground. I guess Clem, after working this damn hard to bring this game home, he does not want to slip away, as he's throwing some scans down, but he obviously knows that all of these bases are mined out. The only base, after 33 minutes here on Solaris, that Reynor can still get a little bit of value from, is this one at 12 o'clock. The bigger downside is that Clem had more resources left, even though he's mining this base out at a very rapid pace. But yeah, that's obviously showing in the army supply.
yep. 2 Broodlords in a dream. So he's making 2 Corruptors. He has money for 1 Broodlord for now. And theoretically, there is nothing that outranges the Broodlord here on the ground. So it's just, I don't think the damage output will be quite high enough. As Clem is starting to siege the base now, you're gonna get a fungal, but every single time you step forward with these ultras, it's gonna be scary. Especially once his Liberator siege a little bit further forward. 1 Sharking Infestor being unseen at the back.
Yeah, we're going to need the biggest fungal that we've seen in the entire game. And we've seen a couple of good ones, but I don't think any of them is going to be good enough. It is not just Marines and Marauders anymore. It's Gulls. Reynor will probably be able to land a great fungal here, but it doesn't make the Liberators disappear. And that fungal is not going to kill the Gulls. The Broodlords have shown up. Clem is probably thinking like, what? Brutes? Really? Now? After 36 minutes, the Broodlords make an appearance. Reynor says, yeah, is that a problem? I was like, no, not really, because I've got an answer for everything you're going to throw at me. More medevacs, more Marines, more Marauders, everything being rallied to the top side of the map. And after 37 minutes of battling, I think this Terran army is officially better than the Zerg army. 1 big old fungal. The fungal is amazing, but it's not Wings of Liberty. It's Legacy of the Void. And these infestors will not kill everything. A great game, an epic final battle as well. But it will finally go to Liquid Clem.
Yeah. And it was an uphill battle for most of the game. I mean, GG's called. Sick game, honestly. Sick game. 2-1.
Very sick game. I kind of want to see something, but I obviously don't want to make the players wait. But maybe the players need a tiny break, guys, after a very long game. Because there was obviously that very big moment where the nerds were battling each other. Then we took a look at the fight on the top side of the map. But I want to take a look and see if I can find that big Muda explosion. It was around minute 15. I was like, yeah, we're just going to go back to that Lambo. That's easy. But yeah, okay. We are actually somewhat close. So I'm just going to do a tiny fast forward. And I'm going to see if we can find that big moment in the main base of Clem. Where Reynor lost a lot of Mudas. We're like, let's take a look at the Mudas. Just kidding. We're not, because they are dead. What a game. Yeah, go ahead.
I just got the tail end of that as well. That was I mean, it doesn't seem like a huge moment back then because he still had a bank to work with, but it was so important. Like, if you see how close the game got in the end with the final fight at the bottom, whenever you have these games, you just think of, ah, man, if I didn't do this one thing. And there's so many situations where this happens. Like, there's so many different fights that he could have taken. And with the lead that he had, I think he's going to kick himself a little bit after this one.
Yep, so we're gonna take a look at it, guys. At this point, Reynor has 27 Middleisk. We were focused on this fight in the top right side. So there are... Oh, wow. Yeah, then the Liberator, and then one Muda... What is that? The one Muda to kill the final. So we go from 27 Middleisk on the side of Reynor to nothing. It's a bit of everything, right? It's Marines, it's Widowmine, it's the Liberator dealing a lot of splash damage as well. Oh, that ball was big, and then you think it's over, and then that one hits as well. The game still went on for another 18 minutes after that, but those were obviously big shots.
Yeah, the one Muda survived to tell the tale. Probably waking up with nightmares every single day.
Alright, I will take a very tiny break, and I'll be right back, guys. Game 4 between Reynor and Clem is coming up. We'll see you guys in less than 3 minutes. Alright, I am back for game 4. I believe the nerds are pretty much back for game 4 as well. You still here, Lambo?
Absolutely.
Alright, not a bad series so far, eh?
Not a bad series at all. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else at this point than seeing these two kids battle it out once again.
That's when you got the old man reaching out to you.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Side Delta is going to be map 4 between these two incredibly talented video gamers. The score is 2-1 in favor of this man, which means he is one map away from winning another edition of the BASILISK Big Brain Bouts, as he has won so many tournaments in 2023, and obviously probably going to win a couple of them in 2024 as well. Representing Team Liquid in the top left side, the boy in blue, it is Clem, aka Clem.
And his opponent in the bottom right hand side, the other kid from Italy. He used to outshine his opponent for big parts of his career, but now his opponent has caught up. It is Reynor.
You may have to do a little bit of making up to Louvre, mate. As you just said, there is no other place you would rather be, and Louvre was not happy to hear that.
Well, watching it with Louvre obviously would be...
Alright, there you go, Louvre. Saved. Good save, Lambo.
Saved.
Good save, good save. Reynor is going to go hedge first here, and that's obviously not surprising to us as he's setting up his camera hotkeys, as you guys can see. Clem doing the exact same thing in the top left side. Clem not super fond of the depot double barracks opening, right? I know he does it every now and then, but I feel like the Koreans do it a lot more than Clem does.
Yeah. Yeah, he does for sure. I was actually checking chat, so I kind of zoned out because I wanted to see what she wrote.
No worries. As we have our SCV scouts, so Clem is still going to play it safe. These guys have been battling obviously for quite some time. A couple of long games. That Heartlet game was incredibly intense and long, but the Solaris game obviously was the icing on the cake. Can they do it all over again on Side Delta? When this map pool was introduced a little while ago, at this point, Lambo, I honestly thought that this was going to be the ultimate Terran map choice of all of them. After I played a few times myself on this map, obviously as Protoss, but I was like, man, Marines and tanks, make it to the other side of the map early. So many good tank spots on this map. I do think a lot of Terrans love it, but it doesn't really seem to be like unanimously agreed upon as the best Terran map.
Yeah, this map is pretty funny, as in that Maru would literally losers pick this, so it's his favorite map. Same with Cure. And then Clem vetoes this map in a best of 3, or at least he used to. So this would be his third veto. So I think it's just a little bit down to preference. I think this map has bases split very, very far, which makes it hard for Terran to secure like a 5th base, especially later down the line, a 6th base sometimes. And I think it can be a decent map in late game for Zerg. And I don't think it is probably the worst one out of all the maps we have. I think most Zergs at this point think Hecate is the worst.
Yeah.
And then the opinions really differ. Like I know there are some people that really hate this map. I think Yona at this point hates this map as well. But there's just so many Terran maps, it's hard to know which one is a little bit worse and which one is better.
What is the one thing that you personally hate about Hecate? Because I know you're not alone in that regard from the Zerg point of view.
I hate the fact that it's impossible to get up a 5th base more than anything else. The map is super short, the Terran bases are super easy to defend, but as a Zerg you can't take the bases easily whatsoever. It's very difficult to spread creep as well. It's just a hard map all around. It checks all the boxes.
So far, Clem's Reaper is obviously staying alive, has killed a single Zergling, was very close to getting maybe a creep tumor, maybe another link, but that is not happening yet. Clem's so annoying with his Reaper. Oh my god, I get so triggered maybe when Terran players do this. When they like move forward, hold position, move forward, hold position. I'm like, alright, you're so good with your quick unit that my slow unit can't catch up with. It's like one of these things that actually makes my blood boil a little.
Yeah, I mean, Clem is so annoying with basically every unit that he ever has. Yeah, he's just playing his bread and butter once again. And we'll see if Reynor goes for the Muta again. It worked perfectly last game. Like, I know at the very end Reynor was dead the entire time, but we can't forget that Reynor was actually in a driver's seat there for the first 20 minutes. I thought he basically had it for most of that time. He looked to be in a really good position. And once again, he did fire up the lair super early, so he has the option to go for that fast Muta once again.
We know that you love it. What I have noticed though, by the way, Lambo, is that whenever I am just doing my regular casting, where I try to find the balance right between focusing on the game and talking to Chat a little bit, Chat behaves very well. Now I'm just here having a nice conversation with you and trying to pay attention to the game. Chat is off the deep end, man. Like, wine is just pouring in left, right, and center. Zerg wine, Terran wine. I'm sure we get the occasional Protoss wine in there. I don't know what's happening with my chat tonight, but it is out of control as Clem jumps on the queens. Does get one of them. Second queen is way off creep, and that one is actually going to get picked off as well. So that's a pretty nice start for Clem here. 1 Hellion for 2 queens. That's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad for Reynor. That's what it is. As he's trying to remake the queen now, but he also needs to start his 4th base soon. And his lair has finished. He's starting up the spire right away. So yeah, he was content with how the last game started, and he's trying to repeat the same early game once again. As once again, he did do a little bit of damage to the Banshee. So if he can zone it out from scouting once again, it could work exactly the same. But I'm a little bit afraid that Clem will play more careful this time around with first Medivacs.
I love that, Fusili. Fusili is basically saying, Chat, this is Chat right now when the teacher steps out of the classroom. Yeah, brings me back to the high school days. Teacher steps away, everybody whips out that Game Boy Color. I mean, these days it's an iPhone, but in my days it was a Game Boy Color and an iPod. As the Banshees do both die though, so that is pretty good defense by Reynor. Lost 1 queen but killed 2 Banshees. So as good as all of this started for Clem, he can't possibly be happy with that.
Yeah, it went from good to terrible, as now he also has no scouting information whatsoever. He will have no idea that Reynor is on 6 gas. Like, even just these scouts at the gas timings, the amount of gas that the Zerg is mining, should tilt you towards knowing, okay, this is going to be Muta. But not, for now, he has absolutely no idea. He will see that the 4th base is kind of late, which could be a hint. But even these 3 Hellions are out of position, and they're going to get caught by the Zerglings most likely. Reynor actually thought to go all the way around, so he didn't chase with all of the Zerglings. I think he could have gotten all 3 there if he did. He's starting the Mutas now right away, and let's see how committed Clem will be with the first 2 Medivacs.
We can't forget that obviously on Solaris, Reynor had that picture perfect start where he killed 15 Marines and 2 Medivacs and only lost a single Medalist. And if Clem commits to the main, he's going to be in trouble immediately. I think off creep, he should be able to bring these units home safely, or can even just stand there and battle. But if Clem finds himself in a scenario where he picks up these Marines, he could be in a bit of trouble. as the meter count is already quite high. Stims forward, gets 2 queens very quickly. Widowmine goes for mostly links at first. Reynor turns around, does want to take that one out, but there is another one there in the top side. Marines do stim a kendo, guns down a couple of the mutalisks. 2 mutas have died. Widowmine will not fire. I guess that was kind of even, right?
That was kind of even, but a lot worse than last time around. And Clem is reinforcing this. I'm not sure Reynor can take the fight. That was a decent fight though. He took out a lot of Marines, even though he can't clean it up completely now. I think the second part of the fight was a lot better for Reynor than the initial fight. The one thing that's kind of bad for Reynor is that with the way that Reynor has been moving his units, it's very obvious for Clem that Reynor does not have a counterattack on the map. He really wanted to go for the fight. That's why he was so happy to fight with all of his units together. So Clem is just rallying all of his units across, which means he has the maximum firepower on the other side of the map, which is also uncommon for this stage of the game. So Reynor really needs to watch out. It's going to be very difficult for him this time around to go towards the other side of the map. He's now trying to go for a massive link counterattack that Clem is not aware of.
Yeah, Clem hasn't seen it yet. Clem does not have a lot of units in the third base. I mean, a couple of Marines is obviously nice. Unfortunately for Reynor, he kind of enters on the wrong side. Clem is getting close to Reynor's army on the other side of the map. So I guess we should take a little look at that, as Reynor is going to send links forward, trying to drag the Widowmine shots on top of the Terran army. Doesn't really get it. What are the Zerglings up to? Not a whole lot. Seems like Clem handled that perfectly, as he has lost 0 SCVs there, Lambo.
Yeah, this run by, if you were down in upgrades, run by just becomes so much weaker instantly, as Reynor is struggling. He's at 0-0 upgrades right now, and Clem didn't start 2-2, but he's still ways ahead in upgrades even without starting it, because this 1-1 is already done. And Reynor is not working off 90 drones this time, so he can't afford these negative trades. Good interception there as well by Clem with the Thor that's now spawning.
Reynor trying to pick up some of those reinforcements, but it's a whole bunch of Marines with those 1-1 upgrades that you mentioned. Stim, and obviously a Viking, a Thor to help out as well. So a very quick appearance of the Thor on the battlefield this time around. Reynor ends up losing a few more mutalisks. The meter count is getting high. We're looking at 16, but yeah, mutalisks don't want to sit here and fight Terran armies straight up. They want to fight small armies, pick the Terran player apart. Reynor knows that he can't really fight that army head first, so he's just going to sacrifice this base in the bottom side of the map. But the army feels a little bit indecisive, and Clem actually is already getting ready to receive this army at home with Widowmines, with Marines, with Thors. One Thor is now all by itself. Reynor is able to jump on that one. That is nice. Obviously, all of these pickups are starting to add up, but there are still Widowmines that are going to keep this bio army safe at the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, you're trading a base for a potential damage with the run by, and it's also larva. Obviously, it's also production. It's not just the place, but yeah. And at this point, Reynor is working with very little creep at his expansions, working with 4 hatcheries against a 4 base Terran. He's not even on 8 gas. He's just on 6 gas. Very low work count as well. That mine barely doesn't fire. He got a little bit lucky there. That mine is gonna be huge, as all the Zerglings bunch up against those couple of Marines. Picks up a lot of mines there though. One more big mine hit.
Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah,
it could have been a lot worse, but he loses every single Zergling. The good news is though that Reynor is kind of pulling Clem's army back, and Clem actually has done all of this without turrets in the natural. Does have 5 turrets on the map, only a single turret in the main. There is a drop happening in the main base. Reynor has Lings and Banes in position to deal with that, so that shouldn't be too problematic. Reynor has taken a little bit of supply lead, gets on top of a Thor. That is risky. There's one more mine here from earlier that's actually just going to connect with a single mutalisk. Reynor turns around and picks it off, has a 10 worker lead, has created a tiny bit of breathing room for himself. But he's obviously not out of the woods yet, as it's just a matter of time. One more Widow mine connects with the Mutas. There's another mine that hasn't fired yet.
Oh my god.
That one hurts the most of all of them.
Before picking up, he even focus fired the 2 low HP mutas. It's not even funny anymore. Yeah, that was obviously a very bad trade for Reynor, and Clem has caught up in the worker department. They're somewhat even in upgrades, which is usually good for the Zerg, but I mean the Zerg is down in upgrades, and I don't see how he will ever defend this 5th base, as he will need to go off creep to defend it. I think the only reason it's alive at this point is because Clem doesn't know about it. Oh, picks up one of the Thors inside the medevac. That's very big, because that will make the defense here a lot harder for him. So he needs to commit more Marines back on his side of the map, and he's actually turning around with his main army.
Yeah. Try to defend with just the defensive Marines. E-base are here, but the E-base are too far along to get picked off. That is a lot of Mutalisks still that end up going down in the end. Reynor started all of that with 17. He's been building Mutalisks non-stop. He's now down to 13. And he's going to get a tiny bit of a delay. Look at all these Marines running for the hills, running up that hill, trying to get a few more shots off. That is not going to work. Clem throws down another scan, wants to see how far along that base is, as there are just Widow Mines firing everywhere we look. Clem has 12 Widow Mines on the map, 1 Thor remaining. Overall, I didn't hate that defense with the Thors, because yes, one of them died, but it bought time for Clem, right? Clem once more pushed back the creep, got a decent trade in the center of the map, and in the end, all the Lynx died, and the Mutas were just left by themselves. Not in high enough numbers to be very threatening. Now we're looking at Lair Tech Zerg against soon-to-be 3-3 Bio. I've casted Jadong against Pold a couple of times in my days, Lambo. I know how this story ends.
Yeah, decent Widowmine connections there on the left. Honestly, if there is a fight to take, it might be now, because Clem's army is still a little bit split. There is no AoE here whatsoever, and Clem is overstepping completely on creep. I feel like you need to pounce here if you're Reynor. He still has a bunch of banelings left over. The Marine split is good towards the right side of the map. A lot of these banelings are not connecting, and the reinforcements have arrived. As all the banelings are just gone at this point, and I don't think Reynor can defend this base anymore.
Nope, I think, well, he has a few more banes, but those get targeted down as well.
Oh,
look at the
God.
Marines, it is healing rain over here. It's like an ultimate ability of the Warcraft 3 days. I didn't know that Clem was a Night Elf player, but all of those Marines were healed up. More Widow Mines fire, more Zerglings die. Reynor is chasing with his Lair Tech army, but I think he knows that these trades have been too messy, too expensive, too costly, as you know earlier we pointed out how crazy it was that Reynor traded better than Clem. Here in a 14-minute game, Reynor has lost 8,000 resources more, and if you have a mega base on Equilibrium and you're on 92 workers, something you can maybe justify, but if it's 70 drones against 71 SCVs, that is just never going to be enough.
Yeah, it is not. I'm even adding Liberators on at this point. Just using them for anti-muta because there's nothing on the ground anymore. GG is called, and Clem takes the series, the main event, 3-1.
Couple of absolute bangers and a proper slugfest between these two. But just like yesterday in the weekly, where Clem was able to get out on top 3-2, Clem reigns supreme in the BASILISK Big Brain Bouts as well. Number 47 goes towards Clem, 3-1. Hardlet was good. Felt that Solaris was even better. I know that the ending maybe got dragged out a little bit, but I think overall we've seen a couple of fantastic games tonight between these two.
Yeah, 100%. Certified bangers, Solaris and Hardlet. Hardlet for me even a little bit has a special place because the Zerg usually never trades effectively against Clem. That just doesn't happen, and Reynor somehow made it happen. So props to him as well for putting up a great fight.
That means that Clem walks away with $150. Reynor gets $50 for his effort as well. And that is officially going to do it for the BBB number 47. If you guys enjoyed the games tonight, which I have a very hard time imagining that you didn't, even though the balanced wine was off the charts in that final game. But hey, that was the teacher stepping out of the classroom. I wanted to see if you kids could behave. I did install a Ring doorbell. You kids can behave if I'm not there. So, Lambo, tomorrow I have to rule this channel again with an iron fist. I just want you to know.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, just make sure to keep the balanced winers out, or at least quiet.
Yeah, well, most of the time they are pretty quiet, but the moment I start a Discord conversation, mate, they come out swinging. But yeah, obviously, exclamation mark Basilisk, guys, in the chat, if you guys want to show them a little bit of love. I could not do all of this without Basilisk. They are the ones that put up $500 every single Friday that I can give away to players. I then invite players that I think will make a good match against each other for your entertainment. So please show some love to Basilisk. They have a Discord as well, exclamation mark Basilisk Discord. You can always just write nice stuff in the chat. You can tweet at them if you use Twitter. And if you don't do that, you can show them some love on Discord. If you don't want to do any of that, at least know that Basilisk is awesome. I think that's all I got, Lambo.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for having me. Thanks, Basilisk, as always, for putting on a great show together with you, obviously. And yeah, shout out to the kids. They're pretty good at the game.
Those young whippersnappers ain't too bad, eh?
Yeah.
How old are you these days, Lambo?
I'm 28.
28, so you got 7 years on the kids.
7 years, yeah.
Alright, well, we're still going to shine eventually, no?
Eventually, for sure.
Right.
I mean, they have been playing the game for longer than me, so at some point I'll catch up for sure.
I think we just need to bring back the Raisin Naga, mate.
Maybe it's time for the Raisin Naga comeback. We'll see.
All right, thank you so much, Lambo. Is there anything that you would like to promote, mate? Is there anything you're working on? Any streaming plans that we can look forward to?
I will just try to stream a bunch, upload a bunch to YouTube. Just follow my channel Lambo King on Twitch. I think you will get all the infos there. And shout out to Lou for waiting for me on a Friday night where I'm casting. So
I actually believe, mate, while we were in the middle of that game 4, that Lou said there is no place he'd rather be than what you and me cast Lambo against, or Clem against Reynor. So I think you're good.
Fantastic.
He's like, I'm hanging out with the puppies. No place I'd rather be than watching Roddy and Lambo cast a couple of TVZs with a whole bunch of video mines. So I think you're good in that regard. Thank you so much for stopping by. Guys, give my man Lambo some love. If you have Twitch Primes available, or you just want to gift him a couple of subs for the great performance tonight. Once more, this is the channel. I posted the link in the chat. The man is representing the Shopify Rebellion. And last question, you going to be in Katowice, mate?
I will not be in Katowice. Sadly not.
All right, we will miss you, but I hope you had fun tonight. Thank you so much, Lambo. Really appreciate it, as always.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.